Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here today.
We're excited to have you guys here today where we're going to be talking about how you can build better pages faster. We're going to talk about how you can simplify the process of designing and creating pages for your website. You're going to learn how to use the AttractWell Page Builder, as well as our new, really exciting quick setup tool that will get you off to the races with all different kinds of pages for your website really quickly. Now we have a packed call here today. There's a lot we're going to be getting into. We have several folks signed up for live reviews today as well. So buckle up, grab your favorite note-taking tool, and let's get into it. I'm really excited to hear about what you are wanting to design. Head into the chat. Let us know what you do and what kind of page you're working on this week. Greg and I are going to pop out a video and get into this slide content that we've prepared for you. And yeah, let's get this thing done. A lot to show and tell with you guys here today. Welcome. Excited to have you. See some new names and some familiar ones. Thrilled to have you back here. By the way, this is a free call that we host every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Today, we're talking about how we can design better pages faster. And I'm going to get into some of my favorite ways to use the AttractWell Page Builder to get things done, not only quickly, but effectively. Because at the end of the day, our website pages, they are speaking on our behalf for us 24/7, 365, and we want them to be showing up the way that we would want to show up, right? So today we're going to talk about why clear design helps more people take action and what it looks like to actually create something that has clear design. We'll talk about how to create a simple design workflow. So I'm going to actually walk you through the steps in order that will make this easy and maybe even fun for you. We'll talk about how to use AttractWell's templates and tools, and you'll get a live demo of the AttractWell Page Builder. And then, of course, as always, live help and Q&A. This is going to be going on throughout the call. If you have questions, feel free to go ahead and add them to the Q&A here. If it's something that we need to reserve to answer after we've been through today's training content, that we may do that. But this is an opportunity for you to ask whatever you need to ask. This is an open work session for you. Even if your questions today have nothing to do with today's topic, we are here to support you. Greg created the platform and is here in the chat. So feel free to add those questions while we're here on the call. If you are watching this as a replay, come join us. We are live every week and it's totally free if you want to learn how to work smarter and how to do that with AttractWell. Go to attractwell.com/office hours. If you'd like to work together live, as several folks have signed up to do here today, you can go to attractwell.com/work review. It's a free opportunity to work together, and we do reserve the second half of these calls for that purpose. And if you would like to hand off your project to someone on our team to get the design or whatever done for you, basically anything related to using our system, there's a solid chance that you have a designer or a VA ready to help you. Go over to attractwell.com/concierge to learn more about our team and get a quote. All right, so let's talk about a clear workflow. When we go to create a page, or really when we go to create anything whose purpose is to live on our website, we often think in a particular order, right? We're thinking about how we want the end user, the lead, the future client to interact with a page. And while that is an important sort of place to embody in your flow of creation, the way that you go about creating things, it kind of needs a different order of operations, right? The creation order of operations is very different from the perception order of operations, right? So we're going to talk about that here. The first thing that we've got to get clear on is what the purpose of the page is. Right. So I see Brandy is creating a sales page for a new mastermind that she's launching soon. That is her purpose. I want to educate people on this mastermind, what it is, and I want them to hopefully say yes to it, right? That's my goal. My goal of this page is only to introduce people to the mastermind and get a decision from them, hopefully a payment here as well, right? Then you need to know your audience. Who is this for? And what do they need in their words? Right? So for Brandy's mastermind that she's launching, it's really important that we not only think about what we want, but we think about what the person who's arriving on this page wants, because they don't want the same thing as you, or at least they don't think they do, right? They have very specific language and they see what they want and need through that lens. And so we need to spend some time there and develop our copy from this perspective. We need to be able to say what we want to say on this page so that we affect the outcome, the goal that we're looking for, right? So we need clarity on this. And then we need to know our call to action. What is the next step you want them to take? So in the case of a sales page, the goal there, of course, is going to be to make a sale. But the Ascended Masters here are going to be creating a new home page. And for them, they are probably more likely to be inviting a lead toward some kind of initial conversion, getting them onto a list, onto a discovery call, something like this, right? So your call to action may be a sale. It may be, in some cases, sending them off to another page where the primary conversion happens, right? So you want to be thinking about where this page sits and what its purpose is in the grand scheme of things for your site and how you want people to interact with it. Now, your easiest starting point in AttractWell is this new awesome feature called Quick Setup. In AttractWell, you can now go in if you've got your colors and your fonts picked out, you've got a couple of logos, maybe a photo of yourself all together. You can plug these things in, share a little bit of information, and the system will create an entire website for you that just needs a little bit of sprucing up, maybe making some modifications to template colors and so on to get that going, right? So quick setup is going to be what I recommend, and I am going to be showing you how to initiate your design using Quick Setup here today. We did do an in-depth training on Quick Setup very recently, so feel free to maybe check out that training, that post on our blog, if you want to get more in-depth, especially with the templates that we provide for that particular training. Now, the best practices for your branding and your visuals, let's get into that here before we go design a page. I want to encourage you first, again, referencing our previous training, please use a brand guideline. This is going to help you stay consistent, whether it be on your website, in your course or program creation, or even on social media. If you're using a brand guideline, then you always know exactly what shade of what color you're using so that it is consistent in all places you show up. Same for fonts. And then, of course, this allows you a quick place to retrieve or see visually how things are laid out for things like logos and visual elements, right? You want to stick to a maximum of 6 colors. I say less is more. I think that it is usually better to use fewer colors than this. And 2 to 3 fonts, typically the 2 to 3, what is your headline font? What is your body or paragraph font? And then if you are somebody who would like to throw in a cursive word here or there for a little impact, you could maybe choose a third one. You want to keep those visuals consistent across all of your pages and all of your profiles everywhere you show up on social, right? So this really is about continuity. Branding is all about consistency so that you're able to elicit the sort of emotional reaction that brand names carry. When you have a relationship with a brand, the feeling that that evokes in you is something that you're able to recall. And if that one that you've been working on evoking is one of trust, then you have a higher likelihood, for instance, that someone, when they see you offering something, they first recognize the colors, the logos, right? And then they're paying attention and they feel that type of way that helps them to be able to convert onto whatever it is that you are encouraging them toward with your call to action. So let's set yourself up for success. I highly recommend, this is a premium or rather a pro feature in Canva. You can set up a brand kit in Canva if you have paid Canva. I really recommend paid Canva. We don't get paid for saying that. It's just a really valuable and also very affordable tool that allows you to very easily stay visually consistent across everywhere that you're showing up. And if you have the brand kit in Canva, it makes it super, super easy for you to create brand aligned, brand congruent images, graphics, etc., to use on your website and everywhere else. So you upload your brand visuals into AttractWell's file manager, or if you're using the quick setup, then you're simply going to be uploading exactly the image that you need where you're prompted. And then you can also create section background images. I'll show you how to do that here in a bit. I use Canva for this, of course. We can save those into our file manager, specifically our images manager in AttractWell. And we can use these to show up in multiple places across our site, because we do want to make sure that as we are designing that we aren't creating any breaks in the experience, right? We want flow. We want people to have continuity or experience continuity. They land on one page on your site, they go to the next one. Even though it might be designed a bit differently, a lot of the elements need to be similar to what they saw on the previous page. Otherwise, you are going to create a break in trust in that moment, right? Where someone is going to feel confused or misled, right? We want people to really grow in their strength of trust with you as they move through the pages on your site. All right, this is a really, really important thing for us to remember as we're designing, because when we think design, we think visual. And this is ultimately how somebody visually interacts with your brand online, right? It's fundamental. You go to a website, it is visual, but it's visual for the purpose of what you're saying, right? Copy is king. So my recommendation to you is to first know what you're going to say. First, know what you're going to say. Build the copy first, then work your design. Because if the words aren't showing up, saying what they need to say, where they need to say them, the page isn't going to do anything for you. You are just engaging in, a potentially very time-intensive or labor-intensive art project. Which, if that's your thing, that's great. I want you to get out of here with what you need, right? So work on copy first. Know what you need to say. The copy should dictate the page. All right. So use templates to structure your page layout. We have built-in templates, again, in many cases for lots of pages for your site. The quick launch or the quick setup feature is going to actually handle a lot of this for you. And then I want you to focus on placing your headlines, calls to action, and key messages first. What do they need to see? What is the high impact statement at the top of the page, right? So for instance, if Brandy is selling her mastermind, we don't need to give the title to the mastermind at the top of the page, because the person who's landing there doesn't care what the name of the mastermind is. They care about what it does for them. So that's our high impact statement that we need to put above the fold, the very first thing someone sees on a page, right? So we need to get clear on that. And how is that going to fit? And is it mobile responsive? And all of those things. We want to make sure that the words show up the way they need to show up before we even begin bothering with the rest of the elements, right? So we add our visuals and adjust our visuals after the copy is placed. We also want to remember that less is more. This is true about the words we're using. It's true about the colors. It's true about really any element. Less is more because, again, copy is king. The words on the page are what we want people to absorb. Everything else there is in support of what we're saying, right? So if we get too visually busy, we can detract from what we're saying, right? So always remember less is more. You do, like, just always edit yourself. If you think you need a thing, pause, take a deep breath, do that 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 French shopping tactic, right? Where you see it, you're like, oh, I think I really want this. Come back in a week. Is it still there? Do you still love it? If it is and you do, it's for you, right? Very similar here. If you think you need something else, pause for at least 5 minutes or set it down and come back later. Do I really need that? I saw it on somebody else's page, but is it necessary for me? Always question before you add, right? So aim for clarity and aim for contrast, right? Again, what we're doing is putting words on a page and doing things that help to elevate the words, make the words more legible, and really help someone to embrace consuming the words that are on a page. For that purpose, we also want to make sure that we aren't creating anything visually daunting for a reader, right? We aren't putting a novel on a website page, and so we certainly shouldn't expect somebody to sit down and expect to read one. Unfortunately, even a paragraph that we would normally write or type or what have you can show up on a mobile device, for instance, looking like the page out of a book, right? So it is really important that we use shorter blocks of text, aim for maybe single statements before you hit enter a few times or create a new section. Really making sure that we are focusing on the impact of the words that we're using and making it easy for the eye to flow down the page. Embrace padding, and you'll see what this looks like in just a bit, but embrace padding, which is essentially creating space, negative space where there are no words, maybe there's no design, or if there is, it's sort of a break for the eyes to stop reading, see something else, and then return to reading. We really want to help to encourage someone to keep reading down the page. It makes a lot more sense for you to put a single statement into a section and then create an entirely new section before you start explaining something else. Is more effective to do that than to just try to put everything that you need to say about this one topic in its own section, right? You can have multiple sections that break down and provide that space. Embracing the scroll is a critical part of this puzzle. You are getting someone's buy-in because they're continuing to, scroll their finger down the page or use their mouse or what have you. They're showing investment in the page as they continue to read, and we are providing that feedback loop of giving them something that's easy for them to consume and that is interesting to them, right? So for this reason, we want to avoid large paragraphs and text blocks. These immediately feel or look like work to the majority of people that will visit your website, no matter how intelligent they may be. Their brain is wired in today's day and age to flip to something that is more gratifying quickly, right? And so we need to be able to deliver something more like that with our design. We want to guide our visitors step by step toward our call to action, the things that they need to know. We need to deliver them in the order that they need to know them, imagining that the page is an opportunity for you to have a conversation with someone as they're scrolling down, assuming the questions that they're asking themselves as they're reading and then answering them, right, as you move through the page. You're going to use section breaks to create rhythm. Again, I'll show you kind of what this looks like. This really kind of speaks to the padding that we were talking about in the previous slide. And then reusable sections. This is a massive time saver that I'm going to show you how to do today. Essentially, what this is an opportunity for you to create a resource to plug into multiple different places. So let's say, for instance, you have maybe a three-part, so it's like a three-column section where someone could click off to go read your blog, or click off to go learn about your podcast, or click off to go see your free resources. A section like this could show up on multiple pages on your website, and it would be absolutely silly for you to design that exact same thing three, four, five different times. So I'm going to show you how you can actually go about creating it once and reusing it over and over again. Essentially what this is you create a standalone page that you'll just use as that section to import into other pages, right? We use the copy in feature in AttractWell to do this. I'll show you how to do this in just a moment. And then when you want to make updates, so let's just say, for instance, you want to maybe change out the lead magnet that's being offered, do that in the standalone place, right? In its own page, because this section that we're creating in this instance is its own page. Create that, and then you can just go in and swap that out on all of the pages where it shows up, right? So let's go take a look at these features together and see this in action. All right, so from here in your dashboard, the first place I want to call your attention to is this quick setup feature right here. This is your absolute fast track to getting everything done that you need done. Now, real quick, if you do not have this yet, or you didn't attend the previous call that we offered, let me see if I could find the blog post that we did. Let me see, blog.attractwell.com. Let me see if this is it. Yeah, here we go. All right. So the one that we're looking for is this one right here. So how to build your website in minutes with AttractWell's quick setup feature. This is also where you could go to find, I'm going to pop this into the chat and I'll put this in the YouTube description as well. But this is where you can learn more about this quick setup feature and get access to all of these templates that we've provided. So I'm going to be kind of breezing through these here, assuming that you have them. If you don't, please make sure to check out this blog post and get access to all of these Canva templates that I've provided for you to use this quick setup feature. All right. But essentially what we've got is there's a brand guideline in there, and we've got a photo, we've got a logo, we've chosen our headline and our font, and we have the colors that we want to use for our links and our buttons. If we go to the next step here, we can then choose the website design. You can actually preview these if you want to see what they look like. This is a pretty nice one here. I think I might go with that. I'm going to select this theme. And this particular one has a home page and a link and bio page. So I'll use this as like the home page will be the example that we use here today. So here I'm going to describe my business and the general types of products and services I offer. So I'm a wellness coach who helps women in their, uh, let's see, we'll say in their 30s and 40s regain control over their health. And I could put a whole lot more information here. I'm going to leave this as is for now. I did go through this last week. I'm going to go ahead and click next step here and just show you what this process looks like. And here it actually gives us some copy that we can modify. I like this. This is working well for me so far. I'm going to not use this contact first name here because I'm not going to use this as a message. So my product is the Vital Life Reset program. Again, you're going to put your own product service information in here. Comprehensive 12-week journey. This is great. That's fine. Okay, we're going to go through, and again, I went through this on that other training here, but here's where we can show links on our link in bio page. This would maybe be, you could put your social accounts here. You'll also want to link them down here as well. But again, for the sake of time, because I really want to focus on the page builder here today, be sure to watch that other training if you haven't been through this, and definitely utilize this quick setup feature. I'm not going to change my menu in this case. I'm just going to create the pages just so I can show you how quickly this pulls everything together for you. Now, once this is done, we are going to really sit down and work on how these pages are set up, whether or not the copy flows the way that we want it to, right? So let's go take a quick look at the home page it created for us. Got a nice story here. I can see how I might want to make some modifications here, either a larger image or maybe separating some of this text a bit. Right, we've got a photo here. This is good. And we've got a few different options here. And this is actually a section that I might want to make some modifications to because I'm not entirely sure that it's looking the way that I want. You can see there's a lot here that we're working with though. Do you see that? Oh, that's so cool. I love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit the page that it provided to me. And you can see that there's sort of, if you haven't been through this already, you can see the different preview options. You can see that you can undo and redo, and you can set up all of your important things that you'll use for your call to action on this page under settings. But suffice to say, and again, for the sake of time here, with the exception of a home page, where your primary call to action should very likely be to get someone to opt in for something free, whether that be a lead magnet or a call. You're generally not going to be linking off to other places on a page or having buttons go different places. A home page is an exception to this, right? A home page is a little bit like the lobby of an office building, where if somebody has an idea of where they want to go, they can go straight to wherever that is, or we can show them what their options are, right? So that's really what a home page does. But generally speaking, we do want to have some kind of an offer above the fold, right? Where we are offering some kind of a free thing. Here we're talking about the program. I would want to modify this and talk about my lead magnet actually, because I don't expect somebody to land on my homepage and decide to go purchase immediately. So I can tell that I've got a couple of things that I want to adjust here. First would be this background image, which you can see here is this sort of wheat field here. And there's these sort of images you can see in the background. This is all one solid background. And then I've got this one here. As you're going through your design process, I do recommend switching over to the phone preview and seeing if you like what it looks like, and maybe checking out the tablet there as well and sort of seeing what you need to do. Now, if I have Canva, and let me actually just open up Canva here. If I open up Canva, and let me make sure that I am logged into the correct account. I believe I am. I'm going to create a new design and I'm going to call this, it's a section background is what I'm creating. I'm going to use blog banner. And again, this is in that post that I mentioned where I did this training previously. I'm going to go to blog banner as the preset. Or actually here, I'm going to click create and just do this more easily. Blog banner. And that's going to give me a nice large image that I can use. If we take a look over here at how this one is set up, I can see that there's an image over here on the right-hand side, and there's a background color, and there's some sort of abstract images that are in the background there. I'll show you how that was made and we will create our own. So I'll begin with an image. Maybe mine is more sea focused. So let me grab ocean here, find a photo that I like, and maybe I'll pop this one over here. All right, so that again is going to be relatively similar to the design that we see here. And then I've got a couple of just sort of abstract images over there on the side, and I have a background color. I want to use a background color that's in keeping with my color palette, and assuming that this is my color palette, I'm going to maybe grab this one, and this makes me rethink what I have here. Here, I'll actually use a different, maybe this one. All right. I'll grab that. And I'll maybe move this over just a bit so we can see more of the sea life. Okay, so I've got that. And then I maybe want to add a couple of abstract shapes. So I'm just going to type in abstract. And I'm going to go look for some graphics. Ideally, I want to grab some things that have a similar background or a similar color to my palette. Um, Let me see. Actually, I think I want to use that instead. I might even adjust the opacity of this image too. Um, Let me see. All right, here, let's again just have this all sort of in keeping um with the sort of colors that you're already using, right? I'm going to just adjust this one a little bit. I'm going to copy it and paste it, and maybe I'll put this in a slightly different section. So you can kind of see how I am creating a similar, if you wanted to preserve sort of what's here, right? I can create an image like this that goes into the background of the page that does something similar. So I'm just going to go to share and download. This is a PNG. I'm going to download it to my device. And you do have the ability as well to do this from within AttractWell. If I go back here to background image and change it, I can click add a design from Canva. But I'm actually like creating in bulk um, ahead of time. That's another tip for you, is to go ahead and create all of the background images you know that you want to use. And then it's easy for you to just add them into AttractWell and then you're good to go, right? So from my downloads, there it is. And again, I'm not doing great design here. I just want to make sure that you guys can really see how you can modify some of the stuff that's already here. Now, as that is uploading, it is a rather large file and my computer is taking its time. Wait, there we go. Wow. So you can kind of see how that is working there. And actually, it looks like there are some there's a background in this. Huh. Okay. Anyhow, I'm gonna actually play around with this and see if we might find, because I didn't make this background. Okay, anyway, so you guys see where I'm going with this, right? So you can actually create these images. You're going to obviously swap out this one for one of you or something that is more in keeping for, for your design, for what you're offering, etc. But back to what I was mentioning at the beginning, and let me just go ahead and undo all of these really not cute changes I just made. The first thing that we want to make sure that we're doing is getting clear on our copy, right? And you can see exactly how your copy is showing up by doing this preview thing here, right? That's the very first thing that you want to do, right? Don't even go in like I just showed you playing around with the images. Look at the copy and make sure that the copy is right. So I can actually see here for some reason, there might have been an image here and it's not showing up, right? So I'm going to need to address that just for the sake of balance here. And it actually kind of looks like these might be a little bit too wordy if I come down here and I scroll through, right? These are a bit wordy, I think, right? It says a lot. And we also want to be thinking, because this is a home page, about whether or not at some point throughout the scroll here, we want to send them somewhere, right? So this might be going to an about page, and maybe this goes off to a services page. We want to be thinking about that in terms of the design of a home page. But I would say on the whole, what we're looking at here, looking at the copy first, is that we could probably adjust this down and say less, or sorry, say more with less words, with fewer words, right? We want to really edit ourselves and use less, because there's just a lot here, right? This is nice, like this, about, this is fine, but I think about half of this can move from here and go off to an about me page, right? Because this person probably didn't land here to read a novel about you. So in this case, I would consider, again, shortening this up, sharpening it up, and then sending them to a place where they could learn more on another page that's more tailored toward the call to action that that information is connected to, right? So here again, this is actually a really great option. If you want an about section, have a photo of you, have a little bit of information, say a little bit, and then send them somewhere, right? Now, this is where we can, in this particular section, talk about what we offer. And it is a really helpful space as well to support what you're saying with some images where necessary, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this, specifically how you can modify the copy where you have it. The first thing I want to show you guys here is this edit content. If you want to edit what you're saying, right, you're going to use this one where it says edit content. So if you want to change the font, if you want to change the size of the font, if you want to, in this case, modify the text that's here, there's just a little bit too much here, right? Now, obviously, you would want to edit your copy. Um, but do you see how visually this is much nicer, right? Like this looks better. It's more balanced with the size of image that's here. And again, if we're looking at this on multiple different devices, it doesn't look daunting to read. Now, if you do have a lot to say, here's what I would encourage you to do, right? What I would do is perhaps duplicate a section, go over to the column editor, and let's switch the columns, right? And so what we're doing is we are taking the same information that we would have shared, and I'm actually going to delete this top part up here because we're going to use this sort of as a continuation, right? Um, oh, oops. Let me just swap these. Here we go. So we've got a subject or a title here. We've got a subtitle here. We've got some information here with an image, and I want them to continue scrolling, right? So this is better than having 6 of these statements that essentially show up as paragraphs on a page, depending on what device you're on. We are now showing 3, and now they have to continue participating, scrolling further to read the rest, right? This is going to work better for you than just having one image that's imbalanced with the volume of text, and just having a ton more text. Where someone is not getting a balance of negative space or visuals with the text, it can feel like a lot. And it's unfortunate that that's the world that we live in, but it is the world that we live in, right? Now, in this case, I actually don't really love this here, and I think that this stands well on its own. So I am going to use that column editor again, clicking right here, edit columns. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to delete that first column. And then I'm going to expand the width of this one. I think that's going to be a bit more impactful, although what I may choose to do here, because this image to me is now just a bit, it's a bit too big. Let me actually just go to edit the content on the whole here. I'm going to click change size. This is auto. You can actually drag corners here if you'd like. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's just a little bit easier. I'm going to click done, and that's going to look a lot nicer because I don't just want a gigantic face picture there. It's also not a good resolution. So as we get down here, you can see that's there. Does it look nice on multiple devices? It does on this one, and it does on this one as well, right? So here's another instance where the template may have provided it, but less is more, right? What I may do as well, because I'm not seeing the contrast between these two, is I'm going to edit the element styles on this one. And I'm just going to go look and see what the position adjustment is on this. I am going to, let me see. I'm going to keep that where it was, or actually I'm going to bring that to 0 on both so that that's centered. And then the padding here, you can see that it's padded a little bit on the left and right. I actually don't hate that, left, right, top, bottom, but this element here, not the text one, but there's one that's sort of over the top of it. So you see where the color is different there. See, I can actually select, do you see the slight difference where I'm hovering over? There's that entire section. And then there's this guy right here, right? So this is actually where you can start making adjustments to things like the background behind your text. So I'll show you, for example, this one right here. I'm going to select my element editor. I'm going to select this here. And you can actually apply one of the background colors from your palette, increase the opacity there, and you can obviously have a section like that stand out a bit more. I wouldn't do that here, of course, because less is more. But that is what we're talking about here. Now, another thing I want to call your attention to is padding. Now, this is fine up here at the top. I think that this is an acceptable amount of space between the logo and the first thing that's being read. We also don't want to push this down so far that we're missing this above the fold opportunity to give a call to action, right? But I am seeing this part too soon. So padding is creating space. Now, we could add some padding to this section, but I think what would be more impactful is actually to do just a little bit of both. So I'm going to select this pencil right here up at the top, and this is background padding. I'm just going to slightly increase. I will just go up maybe to 70 on the top and bottom. And then on this section, I am going to increase the padding quite a bit here as well. I'm actually going to do maybe something closer to 100 on the top. And do you see how close these are together? I want to encourage the scroll. I'm going to add some space down here at the bottom as well. And let's take a look here real quick and see what the difference is when we do this, right? So now the only thing you're seeing here is this. And that's really important because this above the fold is really exactly where we want someone to land, pay attention, and take action, especially if you've got a button right here like we do, right? And then if they decide that they're not taking that step, that's okay. They start scrolling, and we don't want to overwhelm them with what they're seeing, right? So here we see this, and I don't see anything else, right? We're embracing the scroll here. We're encouraging the scroll. You can see here also where it would be beneficial to include some padding on the bottom of that section. So let's again look at this one here. And we're happy with the space between these two. We'll just add some padding, some more padding rather, to the bottom, maybe about 100 like we did above it, right? Generally speaking, in the majority of sections that you create, padding is your friend. You want more of it, right? Always add a bit more to the top and bottom, and be sure to check out what I'm doing right now to scroll through and see how it plays. Are you giving the copy on the page enough space to be center stage, right? Visual space. You're often going to need to add padding to the top or bottom of a section to achieve this, or to even add a little bit of a section in between to give a breather. So maybe I want to add a section here, one column, no header. I'm not going to have any text in here, so I'm actually just going to go in and delete the text that's here. And maybe I'm going to add a background image here, right? Maybe this is something that I can maybe add a little bit of texture, or it's just something of visual interest, nothing that's too loud that's going to detract from what I'm doing. But maybe I have just something like this that I can pop in, and I can change the positioning on this. I'm going to center it and I'm going to adjust so there's a little bit of texture. And then I can add some padding to the top and bottom, right? And you can use things like parallax, right? And so this, again, obviously, this is not the best design choice. This color isn't a part of my palette. But you can see that maybe if this section beneath it were white, this would look like a really cool sort of transition into a new section, right? You can also use parallax background, which kind of holds an element still as you scroll over it, which is kind of cool. So you can kind of see here that we're scrolling over that image now. It sort of interacts. That is another thing that you can do if you are done making a point in your copy and you want to move on to something else. That's a really great feature that you can use, right? Now, padding is something that you can introduce from the sides as well. Highly recommend that you do. So if we look here, you can see that this has padding on the left and right. We might want to make that a bit more even. But you can see here, if you want something to actually skew more to one direction, you can utilize padding inside of a section like one of these to be able to achieve whatever that look is for you. And look, there are a lot of other really cool things you can do, and we could spend, every one of these trainings for a year on the page editor and not cover everything. Like element shadows, for instance, excellent, excellent thing. Let's increase the opacity on this one, a little bit more of the blur, and you can actually see elements pop off the page, right? So highly recommend utilizing things like this. Do you see that? So this took a section and lifted it up visually. You can do that with buttons too. You can do that with images, lots of different options there. Maybe I want this section to be rounded a bit. I can do that here as well. Also pretty cool, right? So we could just play with this as much as we like. Now, what if I come into a situation like this where maybe I am finding things out of order, right? This looks like it should be a three image section and it only has two. Let's talk about how we can make edits to something like this using the column editor. I'm selecting all of it. And actually, before I move further, I want to retain the copy that's here because I don't want to lose this. I'm going to use this in my next section. So I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to go back over to my column editor. Let me delete the one that's not behaving the way that I want it to. I'm going to duplicate one that is, and then I can go back into my content and have it say what I want it to say, right? And of course, you can then go in and make that edit to the image. Swap this out with one in Canva. Of course, if you have your brand kit in Canva, it is very easy for you to go in and make an easy swap and make sure that the colors and everything are congruent to your branding. And of course, you can do the same thing here. Now, this actually brings me to, and obviously we can continue doing the rest of this, but this brings me to a really important thing that I want to show you guys before we finish up here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to show you how to create a multi-page section or a multi-part section like this that you can use on multiple pages. Now you can design it just like this or use a design that's in here. But what I want to encourage you to do is to create its own page for it, right? So this is going to be my learn more section, and I'm going to just start with a blank page. And I am going to go ahead and just set this up in the settings. I'm going to call it the learn more section. It is by link only, and we are not showing a header or a footer because this is simply going to be plugged into other parts of the website. Now here I'm going to add section and copy in another page. And here's actually that page that we just created. Now I'm just going to borrow that section that I created on this page here, and I'm going to delete everything that I don't need because that's going to save me time right now because maybe you actually just built a section like this one right here, and you want to be able to reuse it on other pages. So just go ahead and copy in the page that it came from, delete everything that you don't need, make any changes to it that you want, right? So maybe I need to change the image here. Maybe I want to put some buttons under here. I definitely want to shorten the copy on these because they are a bit long in my opinion. But then when I save this, if I want to go back to my pages and add this to my home page, let me find home. Here's my home. Now, I want to have this on my home page, my about page, all of these different pages. You could also do this for, excuse me, for testimonial sections and multi-part sections, right? But here's a learn more section. Actually, maybe I want to update that with the one I just created. So I'm going to copy in another page and I'm going to type in learn more section. That's the one that I just created. And I can just easily put that right into any page on my AttractWell site. This is such a massive, massive time saver, especially if you have different offers. Maybe you update them regularly. All you need to do is make sure that for sections like this, you go into the page that you have for them, make your edits there, and then just go and swap it out and insert it where you want it. So I can delete this one. I'm not going to use that one anymore. And I now have this updated one, right? Really simple. So again, just to recap here, what I did was I created a new page. If you didn't want to do, if you're doing this from scratch, maybe you want a three-part section, I'm still going to start with a blank page because it makes life a little easier for me. I'm going to not save any unsaved changes, add section, 3-column section, or maybe you want a 4-column section. Maybe you want a 2-column section, whatever that might look like for you. Head over there, grab what you're looking for. Maybe it's a pricing one that you want to reuse, or maybe you want one with a header, whatever that looks like. Grab the template that you want and then edit this to your liking. Save it as, name it as a section, right? So this is the learn more section for all of the pages on my website or my resources. Get my free resources. And you're linking to 3 different landing pages from these buttons, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Services where, hey, here are all the different things I offer. You want to learn about speaking, go to this page. Learn about workshops, go to this page. Want to learn about courses, go to this page, right? Set this up exactly as you want it. Title this as a section, right? Link only. Don't show the header, don't show the footer, and save it. And then you can insert this using that copy in feature on another page, this one right here. And you can take this from any page. You need to be editing that page that you want it on. So maybe I have an about page. Well, I thought I did. Here we go. Maybe there's an apply for a call with Jane and I want to have a testimonial section on this page. I can click add section, copy in another page. And I don't think I have a test. Oh yeah, I have a testimonial. Yeah, so I can actually copy in something from somewhere else. I'm just going to put in that learn more section that we already did. And I can just add this to any page that I want, right? That one is a massive time saver. Just remember, guys, as you are moving on with your creative process, remember that all of the creativity that we're engaging with is in support of the words on the page. And if we keep that front and center, then we can create pages that work really well for us. All right. I want to get into some of these questions, and then I know we had several folks sign up for live reviews. We obviously need to do more of these playing with the page builder calls like this because there's so much that we can get into there. All right, with a quick setup feature, what do you recommend if you already have the website set up using one of the templates? Yeah, so what I would do, Denny, is in the quick setup feature, when you actually follow through the prompts, one of the last things that you're asked is whether or not you want to keep keep everything in your let me do this right here. Under additional options, would you like to update your menu, right? It's going to create new pages for you regardless, right? So you're going to get these new pages. It's not going to change any of your existing pages. It's just going to add new ones. But what it can change, depending on what you choose, is it can update the pages in your menu as your home page, your about page, your services page, etc. Right? So if you already have an existing custom site, I would recommend that you either don't change anything in your menu and get these things updated before you update your menu, right? Because generally speaking, this quick setup is going to get you quickly set up to finish, right? But it's not necessarily going to create the fully finished page that you want to put onto a live website, right? So in that case, I would just not adjust the menu and then add that later. Yep, do it. No, you do publish. The pages do publish because they're not visible if they're not published. You just get to choose whether or not they are discoverable, basically. So there's a difference. Something that's published is fully taken down. There is no preview for it. You can find this in your page settings. So if we go into the settings here, by link only. If it's something that you don't, basically you don't want Google or, scrapers on the internet to be able to find it, just choose by link only. And that's for anything that you just don't want to be discoverable on the site. Okay, what's the difference between using that edit content item at the top and just clicking on the content area and then just clicking on, oh yeah. So content is going to actually allow you to edit the text. Elements is really more about the styles, right? So if we click this and we click this, you can see that these other things open, but you have the option to edit your content right here. Here, let's pop this guy open, right? If you already have the element style editor open, it'll stay open on the page, even if you're not editing the element styles anymore. The element style editor is going to be more about how something is positioned, the sort of padding around it. So let's just say, for instance, if I gave this section a background color, um, let me change the opacity. This is an element style edit, right? It's not the content. The content is the words here. It's the stuff that's in this section, but I can actually, do more with this here. I can add some padding to this section here, right? So this is the style. So this is editing the layer of style, not the content itself. If I click to edit the content, this is where I can actually change what's being said here. Yeah, yeah. So the if you want the thing on the side to pop up, you're going to click edit element styles, select the thing that you want to edit, and it's going to give you options to edit the style of what's there, right? So if you want, a shadow on it or whatever it is that you want to do, yeah, all of that is stuff that you can do with a style editor, whereas content is about the words itself. All right. If you asked a question and I haven't gotten to it, it could be that it's too far up in the chat and I haven't seen it. Please put that into the Q&A if you want an answer to it. I would like to go ahead and bring out, let me see, bear with me just a moment. And thank you so much for your patience here today. Tim, if you are here, could you please pop your hand up for me and I'll bring you out. I believe you wanted to review a page on your site, which we could do. Doesn't look like you're here. Let me see. Bear with me just a second. Okay, I don't think Tim is here. Um, okay, and I don't have the particular page. So, Tim, if you watch this as a replay, let's get back together. Happy to review this page for you. Not entirely clear on which one you need reviewed. Yeah, shoot me a message and I can make sure that we do that. I also have today, um, Sam. Are you here, Sam? It doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, oh, Aline, I see. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Let me bring you out. If Zoom would like to cooperate and show me my menu again. What on earth? Sorry, just a second, you guys having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, there we go. You should be able to talk now.
Hello.
Hi.
All right.
Uh,
So my question is embedding forms from AttractWell to Shopify, which is our choice of websites. We're just having a slight issue with when so if you go into settings on one of our landing pages, we have the text box show this message after registration. We have it checked and we have something in the text box along with a button and a link that would once they download after they hit the button. But then it also says after registration, send visitor to. So we're really kind of confused why we're not getting that show this message after registration. And then because we're receiving the emails that are attached to the campaign. Um, so we're just kind of confused as where that pops in after registration.
Okay. Greg, I'm going to have to tap you in on this one because this is not something that I have specific experience with. Which one of these?
We're working on the Eisenhower, but it does the brain dump as well. So either one.
Got you. Okay. Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, so
And
to answer your question there, so I think you've got a form embedded on their website. And if you want, so the only settings that really apply here from the landing page, the page obviously doesn't show because you've got your own form on that site. The campaign will send and it will tag people, but it does not pop up any other messages or any of that stuff. So if you want that, that would be something you'd have to build into your other site. This is basically just what you've done there, I think, is just a way to send the lead into AttractWell and kick off the campaign and then tag them so they know, so you know where they came from. Other than that, yeah, that other message doesn't show up afterwards. It will, I mean, I think there's like other things like automations, whatever. Some of those will run. Messages don't show because that would have to be coded into the whatever page you're using, your Shopify page builder in this case.
Okay, so we would have to build in that button because we want them initially to download it immediately, not just receive the campaign. All right. And then the other question would be, do you recommend sending a monthly newsletter via the messages feature? And if so, how do we review things like overall open rate?
got you. Yeah. So, a couple things. One more on the first question.
Uh,
If you're using like Zapier, for instance, to run this like as an integration with your Shopify, you can in the either in AttractWell, like Greg said, you could do this in Shopify as well. If you want them to be redirected to a download immediately, that can be a page on your Shopify that you're sending them to. But if you're using an automation in AttractWell, a redirect to another page is also an option, right?
okay.
So after these things happen, send them here, right?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, for your for sending out newsletters, my personal preference for broadcasts, like especially if it's not something like if your broadcasts are not generic and they're sort of like of the moment, right? Here's what we're talking about this week. Here are the things that are going on. My preference is to use broadcast messages using this feature right here, as opposed to using campaigns, mostly because if what you're doing with sending a weekly newsletter is something that is of the moment, it just makes more sense to be able to go in and edit that way, although it is doable with a campaign. My preference in this instance, the majority of the time, is using this here where you're filtering for the tagged group, right?
Right.
And then you're scheduling a message to go out to them. I'll pretend like I selected one. It's going to go to however many people. You can also use a saved reply here if you want to kind of create a template. Looks like you've got something like that here. Um, and if you want to look at the performance of this message or really any of your messages, you can go over to your messages here, and then you can click on any of the ones that have been sent. And if you click on them, you can actually see the delivered, percent delivered, percent opened, click-through rate. All of these statistics are going to show up here.
Okay. All right. Well, I am going to send an email because I'm actually ready to whitelist Eisenhower Matrix. So I'll send that over shortly. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Thank you guys for sticking around today. I do have one more question here, it looks like from Dr. Ryan Johnson. All right. Right now, I have my homepage set to lead the person to buy my new book. Starts with an impact statement and then some short sales copy that leads to clicking to get the book. That button takes them directly to the payment page for the book with some additional sales copy. Is this okay? Or is it better to create a standard homepage that showcases all my services in addition to the new book? So there's not a clear right or wrong for this. If the book has just released and you are actively promoting it, so if someone were to go to your social right now and they would see a story or pinned feature or some recent post that's talking about this book that's been released. it makes sense for that to be something that also shows up above the fold on your website. Evergreen, though, in perpetuity, it's not the best thing to keep there always and forever. It's better to get something that will generate leads, generate leads there for the longer term. But if you're actively promoting something right now, by all means, put that up at the top. The things that you put on your website that you're promoting need to cycle out at least once a year anyway. Right. So there's certainly no harm in doing that. Just make sure that you're rotating in when you're out of the promotion season for this book, some kind of a lead generating offer, whether that be, something that's related to this book, or something that, the book might be a downsell or some kind of supportive piece for. But yeah, I think that that's totally fine. I think that generally speaking, depending on the type of content that you're putting out there into the world, if you've got tons of free courses that people interact with, you've got lots of long form content, then it might make a lot of sense to send somebody straight to a low cost offer immediately when they land on your homepage, right? But if that's not the case, if people aren't accustomed to taking in all of the value that you offer abundantly in other places, then we have to kind of create an easier on-ramp to a yes, right? Which typically is going to mean that we're giving away something free, promising something free, or something that's low commitment at least, and then easing into whatever that next thing might look like. So hope that makes sense. If you want to talk through that, pop your hand up here real quick. I know Greg had to run at the top of the hour here. Let me see. Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah, thank you guys for sticking around today. And if you would like a live review, definitely get in touch with us, attractwell.com/work review. Get yourself onto the calendar. And if you have something that you'd like to learn that you don't know yet, we can do that too. Shoot us a message and we may create a training just for you. Hope you guys have a great weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.